Hi, and welcome to Day 2 of Salesforce's Release Readiness Live for Spring 17. Thanks for joining us, whether you're able to join us for some of our sessions yesterday, or if this is your first time with us. I'm Mike Torres, and it's great to be here as we take a look at some of the greatest features and developments that our Sales Cloud has to offer. Now, if this is your first time joining us for Release Readiness Live, well, you picked a good one to start with. Now, you may have already read the release notes for Spring 17, but the purpose of this session is to take those notes and bring them to life by providing you with live demonstrations by and conversations with our product team. Now, and since we are live here again in Salesforce Studios, you do get to ask questions of our team and get them answered live on air. But before we meet the team, I think it's fair to find out how we're going to engage with them. So to answer those questions and more, I'm going to toss things over to the community moderator for Release Readiness, Elna Miller. Hey, Elna.
Thank you, Mike. Hello, everybody. Welcome back, or welcome, as the case may be. I am your moderator in the Release Readiness group in the Success community at success.salesforce.com, and I would like to ask everybody to post your shout-outs, reactions, and questions in either Twitter or in the Release Readiness group. Please use the hashtag SalesforceLive. That's all lowercase. And we will try to get to as many questions as we can live. I know there's going to be lots for Sales Cloud. This is going to be a really, really exciting broadcast. So please participate in the questions. We'll get to as many as we can, and let's get rolling.
Thanks, Elna. That's no question left behind, right? So if we don't get to them live on air, we will always do our best to make sure we answer every question on the channel it came through on, either Twitter or the Success community. We'll get back to you. Now, as a few final points before we get into the presentations, now we've mentioned that this session is focusing on our Sales Cloud. Now, if you're trying to catch any recordings of our content on Service Cloud, Community Cloud, or any of our content for Spring 17, you can find it at the URL listed here on your screen. Now, as a final point, we are going to be looking at some of our product roadmap items today. So to properly set our expectations there, let's review Salesforce's forward-looking statement slide. Now, if you're unfamiliar with this slide, it urges Salesforce customers to remember, Salesforce is a publicly traded company, and any and all purchasing decisions should be made entirely on currently available functionality only. Simple as that. Now, without any further delay for myself, I'd like to pass things over to Arya so we can meet the teams.
Thanks, Mike. My name is Arya Niazi. I'm a product manager within the Sales Cloud, and my team specializes in opportunity management.
Hi, everyone. I'm Liz Skates, and I'm a product manager for the Analytics Cloud, and I'm excited to share with you today all the advancements we've introduced in Spring 17 for reports and dashboards.
Hi, I'm Andy Kung, product manager from Sales Cloud, and today I'll be talking to you about all the new exciting features on sales productivity.
Hello, everybody. My name is Raj Patel. I'm a product manager on Sales Cloud Einstein, and I'm happy to talk about Einstein.
Thanks, Mike. I'll take over. So as you know, we're all in on Lightning, Mike. And what we've done with Lightning is more than just the new user interface. We are building something that allows us to build new user experiences. So with that, let me show you some of the new features in Spring 17. Account hierarchy is one of the account enhancements we're bringing to our customers. Account hierarchy allows you to manage your complex account relationships. Some of the new features within this account hierarchy in Lightning include the current record indicator so that you can quickly jump back into the account you were using, the ability to view more than 500 records. We got feedback from our customers that they have complex relationships that extend past that 500 limit. And then finally, the ability to customize the columns that display. Our customers know their customers best, and they know when they look at a hierarchy what fields make sense to show up on that tree. When we talk about contact enhancements, we're making great strides towards contacts to multiple accounts. This is a feature we released last spring, and now we're enhancing it. So with that, we're giving you the ability to define custom buttons, links, and actions on these relationships, the ability to support workflow and process builder, and the ability to relate contacts to person accounts. Switching over to opportunity and lead enhancement, for opportunity management, we're giving you the ability to add multiple products with the product selector. So now a sales rep can add and edit multiple products at once. And for lead enhancements, we have mass actions on lead status to improve efficiency, and we've enhanced the lead convert mapping process. Finally, for orders and quote enhancements, we're really closing the gap for our customers to be able to manage that entire business closing process. We're bringing orders to Lightning, and we're giving our customers the ability to create orders in Salesforce One. For quotes, now you can email off those quote PDFs that you've created. We also have a quotes tab and a record home, which allows you to search through your quotes using Salesforce Search. And then that multi-select product selector that we saw, you can use that same functionality to add quote line items. Spring 17 is a huge release for duplicate management as well. In this release, we are giving you one of my favorite features is the ability to surface potential duplicates on your records. So as a user, when you jump into a record, now based on the rules the customer has set up within the org, you can quickly see, hey, this record is a potential duplicate. This is going to be great for data quality. Reps can go in there and merge those records. And within that merge process, now you can customize the layout to know which fields make sense as you're merging records for your reps to see. You can also merge contacts from different accounts. This was a huge ask from our customer community, and we've delivered in this release. So now if you have contacts in different accounts, you can merge them into one. And when you do merge an account, you will maintain the hierarchies in that merge. Finally, we're supporting duplicate management on person accounts. Kanban is one of the most popular features in Lightning, and we've heard your feedback, and we're bringing it to more objects. So now you can have a Kanban view on all your standard objects and all your custom objects. And at the same time, we're also enhancing it by allowing you to have different record types in Kanban view. So if you're managing opportunities of different record types, now when you switch over to Kanban view, you're able to see those different record types as tabs in your Kanban view.
That's actually very impressive.
Mm-hmm. And on that same note, Mike, we are extending the path component. This is the component that used to be known as sales path, but now we're renaming it to path because you'll be able to take advantage of it to manage more business processes outside of standard sales. So you can put a path on quotes or any custom object of your choice. You would set it up the same way, and you can drag it onto the page layout. And you would be able to select the pick list that you want to drive your path. Finally, collaborative forecasting is coming to Lightning. So when you switch over to the Forecast tab, you can view your subordinates forecasts, you can change the forecast periods or the currency, you can show or hide quota, or you can enable forecast adjustments to overwrite a forecast. So with that, I'm going to switch over to the demo and show you some of these features live. So I'm going to start out my day on the home page as a salesperson, and let's jump into United Partners, which is an account that we've been working with. Here on United Partners, you can see immediately that I'm given a toast message for a potential duplicate. This message is popping up based on the rules that my organization has set up. If I wanted to, I could have clicked on the duplicate toast, and I'd be taken to the duplicate page where I can merge it out. But I'm going to scroll down and use the actual component that we have on our page. So here are some potential duplicates. And I can see at the very top, I have United Partners in 2 different places. And this looks like a potential duplicate. And this is the layout I was telling you, Mike, that is customizable. So if you think a certain field or column makes sense to have on this merge layout, you would be able to customize it. You would be able to select the 2 columns or 2 records that make sense, go through the next process, and merge these 2 records into one. When you're ready, now that you've cleaned up your data, I want to show you what account hierarchy looks like. So I'm going to jump to my account hierarchy, and you can see United Partners is my parent account. Right away, you see that current record indicator. I only have a few accounts in this hierarchy, but you can see the value of having that current record indicator if you are one of those customers who's extended past that 500 limit. Now, once I see the relationship with all my accounts, I can jump back into the first one that I started with. And I'm going to open up this Bay Area United Partners, and I can see underneath there's a location in Oakland and a location in San Francisco. One of the things that was important to me is the year the location was open. So that's a custom field that we've edited this layout with. When I'm ready, I can jump back into that original account. Now that I've cleaned up my duplicates, I've looked at my hierarchy, let's look at an opportunity that we want to work with. So here we have an opportunity that we're working with United Partners. As I scroll down, I can see one of my last calls with this customer, they ask for additional pricing on products. So let's go to our products related list. And now when I want to add a product, I would jump into add products, and here we have the product selector. This tool allows me to add multiple products at once. And some of the great benefits of this is I have feedback right away that I know which products I've selected. If I want to remove them, I can remove them from the pills. My search component allows me to do a lookup, but it also allows me to search based on product code, product name, and description. So for example, I could search for a product code, and I can add that to my product list. When I've selected my products, I would be able to jump in and edit those products. And this is one of my favorite features that we got from our customer feedback, is we know that some of you have a lot of fields on this multi-edit page. And it would be a pain to fill out some of those fields, but then remember that you forgot to add a product and have to go back and lose all that information. So what we've done is we've added a stateful back button. So let's add some notes, let's add some quantity, but then we remember we wanted to add another product. We're going to go back, add that new product. And now you can see when I come back to this edit page, I still have those notes, all that information that my rep put in, it's not lost. So this is great for efficiency and productivity. Now they can complete this process and save these products as new. Oh, we have a required field. And we're going to save these products, and they've been added to our opportunity. So you can see one of the next actions that I have is Lauren is asking me that I have an open task here. She wanted to get a quote. Now that I've added my products, I'll scroll down, and here's a quote that I've been working with Lauren. So let's point out some of the new features on this quote tab. At the very top, you can see we've extended path. So now it's on quotes and custom objects. So all those quote statuses are across the top on the path, and you can quickly change the status if you wanted to. If you scroll down and you click Add Products on quotes, here's that same component, but now it's for quote line items. And then as we scroll down, you can see orders are now in Lightning. This is really going to help you close that entire business closing process within Lightning. So I could hover over, I have my orders information, and click into it, and I have my orders record. One of the other features for quotes is the ability to email these quotes off. So I can either email them from the action, or when I create a PDF, now I have the ability to save and email this quote. And you can see how quickly that quote is added to my email composer. I can add any notes that I have and send this off to a customer. Finally, we have a quotes tab at the very top. By adding this tab, we also allow you to search using Salesforce Search for quotes. But when you jump into this quotes tab, this is a great way to take advantage of Kanban. So as I said, Kanban is available on all standard and custom objects now. So here we have that quote that we were working on, and now it's on a standard Kanban view on a standard object. We could simply drag it on and change the status within Kanban view. But that's not it, so let's switch over and show you what it looks like on a custom object. So I've created a custom object for deliveries, and this is where a customer could track potential deliveries that they're sending off to their customers. So the purchase is done, we're shipping it off, and now you can see I have my deliveries custom object, and I have the different delivery statuses across the top. One of my favorite parts about this new Kanban view on custom objects is when you switch over for the first time using the display as. So whether you switch from grid view to Kanban, the first time you're able to select which field you want to group this Kanban view by. So you'll be able to select your pick list right away, and it's super simple to set up. So now I'm going to jump into one of these delivered objects and show you on that same note of extending those components. Now here is a path on a custom object. So we got great feedback from our customers that they love the path because it allows them to bring key fields to the top of the page. So now you can see if a deal or an order or a custom object like delivery is in a certain status, you can decide what are the key fields that you want your reps to fill out in that status. And on the right-hand side, you'll have some guidance for success. Here you can put in links, text, images, so when your reps are in that certain status, they know how to fill out those fields and what are best practices. Finally, I want to show you the forecasting tab within Lightning. Let me jump into forecasting here. Any questions on that, Mike?
So not necessarily a question, but definitely an observation. Something that really stuck out to me as you were going through is just the ability to put the Kanban anywhere, but also the ability to look at different record types inside of the Kanban. So it's almost like we are taking, well, not necessarily killing two birds with one stone, but we've realized the feedback that our customers are saying the Kanban is one of the biggest advancements in terms of visualizing data the way I want to see it, but also removing a limitation that we had on a similar feature, list views, historically. So it's almost like getting ahead of the curve in terms of providing our customers with one of the biggest conveniences they can ask for, but also making that convenience more powerful by removing those restrictions on record types.
Exactly. And we know on opportunities, a lot of customers do have record types.
Yeah.
And Kanban on opportunities was very popular, but because of that record type limitation, people were being held back. So that's why we heard the feedback and we made the change. Now, just to wrap up, I want to show you what forecasting looks like in Lightning. So I'm switching back to my demo here. And you can see in the forecasting tab, I'm able to set my forecasting range. So whether it's this quarter, next quarter, or the full fiscal year, you're able to set that range. You're able to set the currency as well. When I open up one of these months, I can see who are my subordinates and what's in their forecast. So when I click on Bill West, I can see the opportunities in Bill's name. And if I click into any of these forecast categories, such as commit or forecast best case, I can overwrite that information. So if I know Bill typically is a conservative rep, and I can overwrite that commitment so that my management knows that we're potentially going to hit close more business than Bill is projecting. So with that, I'll pass it back and see if there's any questions.
Absolutely. Elna.
Yes, we do have questions. They're pouring in fast and furious, and we'll get to a few. Let me know when we need to move on. But first of all, it's just some shout-outs, some reactions, lots of reactions coming in, both Twitter and the Success community. I think Aiden really summed it up really well when he said there's lots of great changes, getting Lightning to feature parity and beyond. That's the key phrase there. Because it seems like to me that really Lightning, these features that existed in Classic are really being reimagined in Lightning. So they're even better as opposed to just straight porting over. Is that a coincidence, or is that maybe a strategy that you all are following?
Yeah, we definitely have taken the feedback, and we want to make that transition not just parity. We want to make it better, and we want to take that feedback and enhance every feature that we bring over.
Thank you. And a couple more shout out. Alex says, woohoo for multiple contacts to person accounts. And Randy and Sean also very excited about Path on Anything and Kanban. And speaking of Kanban and Path, can you just quickly describe what is the difference between Path and Kanban and how are they related?
Absolutely. So a Kanban view allows you to look at switch over during a list view. So when you go to a record home, you can take all your list and you can switch it over to a Kanban view. And it allows you to drag over and change the status. A typical use case would be for opportunities, where you can change the status of all your opportunities in a single view by just dragging them over. A path is a component to help you manage and streamline a business process. So for example, we take that same opportunity example, you would be able to take the status of an opportunity, and it's in each individual stage of the opportunity, maybe you want to have your reps fill out key fields. So this is a great indicator at the very top when they jump to that opportunity record. They know this is in a demo stage or a quoting negotiation stage. I need to have these certain fields filled out. And here's some potential information that my management or my organization would like me to take advantage of in this stage.
So it sounds almost like the Kanban is a great tool for visualizing and managing a group of records on a single object, whereas the Path is a way to get more prescriptive about what needs to happen on a specific record throughout the process.
Exactly.
Excellent.
Thanks. A lot of people need to understand the connection and the differences there. So just to clarify, did you say that you can not only find contact duplicates in Lightning, but also merge them?
Yes.
All right. So that's for Kimberly.
Yes.
Let's go with one more question on that.
Okay. Let's see. How many levels down can you go in the account hierarchy? That's from Alicia.
That's a great question. I would have to follow up with the product manager for that specific product, but we'll definitely get back to you on that. I do know that because there was a 500 limit on the classic version of the hierarchy, and that limit is now extended to 2,000.
But definitely to the grandchild level, right? That's
Yes.
doable.
Yes.
Three or four levels.
Yes. 3
right?
is possible.
All right. So I'll save the questions for later if we have some extra time.
Please do keep them bookmarked. So thank you, Elna, and thank you, Aria, for sharing. I think our customers are really excited about everything we've shown so far. But I'd actually like to pass things to Liz so we can talk about reports and dashboards.
Thank you, Mike. Great. So I wanted to share a lot of these new features that we have in reports and dashboards. So up until now, Aria has been sharing a lot about what salespeople will be doing when they're logged into Salesforce related to opportunities. But one of the features I wanted to talk about for Spring 17 is actually very beneficial if you're not logged into Salesforce all the time. And this is available in Lightning. So a lot of people have been saying, hey, you know, in sales, we're out in the field. We want a lot of our data from our reports sent to us, but we don't log into Salesforce the whole time. We might be on our cell phones or whatever. So it'd be nice to get our scheduled reports sent to us in an email. And so in Lightning, for Spring 17, we have merged that scheduling feature that people are used to in Classic with the subscription feature that was also in Classic, and merged them into a new feature called Subscriptions in Lightning. And Elna had mentioned how in Lightning we're not just moving to parity, but we're going beyond and reimagining. This is an example of that. We learned some lessons about how scheduling worked in Classic and how subscriptions worked in Classic, and we're merging them and we're changing the way it works in Lightning for the better. So that's one thing I wanted to show you. And then another highly requested feature that we're introducing. So a lot of our existing customers in Classic had built some custom links to reports, and not just a link to the report so you can click on it or bookmark it, but also they would add parameters to override the filters that are applied to the reports. And they had these in their custom implementations. And what we've heard is that these custom links need to be supported in Lightning as well in order for a lot of our customers to migrate to using Lightning. And so now in Spring 17, we have that support in Lightning, and I'll show you how that's done. And then we have some more advancements in dashboards as well. So the same charts that you're used to in Classic are now available in Lightning. We can now say that in Spring 17. You also get a lot more interactivity so that you can explore each of your charts within dashboards. And I'll show you that as well. And then the follow capability so that you can get updates in Chatter when your dashboards change is also now available. And then the last thing I'm going to be showing you is how these same charts that you're seeing in Lightning are also available in the Salesforce One mobile app. All right, so I'm going to switch over to my demo on the laptop here. So I'm logged into Lightning now, and I want to show you how when I'm looking at a particular report, let's say my pipeline by stage and type report, I see my report displayed here. I've got my filters applied. You see that this report displays a lot of my opportunities related to all these different industries, and I have a few filters applied. I'm looking at this report and I decide, this is great, but I don't want to be logged into Salesforce all the time to see this data. I want to get this sent to me on a regular basis. So one of the actions available to me is this subscribe button now. And you'll see that I can actually set on a daily, weekly, or monthly basis that I want to receive this report emailed to me. And so I might say, hey, Thursdays at 5 p.m., I want to get this. And you'll notice a difference with Classic. Classic, you had only a few time slots that might be given to you for signing up to get a scheduled report. Here, you choose whatever time slot you want, and they're all available to you. And I can click Save. It'll tell me that I've started a report subscription. And now, every Thursday at 5 p.m., I get an email with that report sent to me. I can also go back to the reports list, and it'll show me which reports I've subscribed to. And each user in Salesforce can subscribe to up to 5 reports, and it doesn't matter if I'm an admin or not. I can subscribe to up to 5 reports. So that's subscriptions. And then the next thing I wanted to show you is what we call report filter overrides. So we've been looking at this report up till now called Pipeline by Stage and Report, a stage and type, which had certain filters already set up by whoever created this report. A lot of times, the same report, though, needs to be shared with a lot of different people who might want to zero in on different parts of the data. And so that's why people have these filter overrides. Even though they point to the same report, they want one person to maybe only see certain opportunities related to certain industries, let's say. So I have an example here where I created some custom links on my home page. And I have 2 links here that actually point to that same pipeline by stage and type report, but I've actually applied some filters to them in that link. So if I click on the one for biotechnology industry, it's hard to see, but in the URL, there was a parameter applied to kind of to override and say that for this first defined filter, instead of having the report apply to all industries, I want it filtered down to only the biotechnology industry. And so you'll see that because of that custom link, this same report now opens up with the opportunities that are in the biotechnology industry. I also have another filter here where I override and say it shouldn't have any products either. Or I can go back to the home page again and click on a different link to the same report with a different report filter override that overrides that same filter and says, only show me in this report deals that are in the agriculture industry. And so these URLs will look different than what our customers are used to in Classic, but the same use case is supported in Lightning. And so the next area I want to show you has to do with dashboards. So in dashboards, you'll see now all the same chart types that you're used to in Classic are now available in Lightning as well. Just taking a little while to show up. Oops. Refresh.
That's okay, but I think this is going to be great news for a lot of our customers who have stayed on Classic up until now. You know, the parity of these chart types is something that I know a lot of our customers have been hungry for.
Yes, we've been asked that a lot. A lot of them
heard
are
it.
saying, yes, but I want my combo charts with the bars and lines. That's now available in Spring 17 as well. And so here, the dashboard is showing up in the demo, and you'll see we've shown a huge selection of all these same charts that you'll see. Obviously, I think they look a lot better than they do in Classic, but they're the same chart types that you're used to. So another thing that you'll notice is now that there's now with each chart there's this expansion icon that you can click on to see more of a particular chart. So if I click on it, you're going to see a bigger view, so you can drill in and get more details on that particular chart. You can click the arrows to iterate to the next or previous charts in that dashboard to get more detail. And there's also a button so you can share, and a snapshot of this chart will now be posted on a Chatter feed. So I can click share, and I'm going to maybe share on this own dashboard's Chatter feed. Wow, look at these updates. I'm going to post that to the Chatter feed for this dashboard. And so now if I show the Chatter feed for this dashboard, the chart that I just posted now shows up in that feed. And then another option I have is also just to click this follow button so that any updates to this dashboard will be updated on my Chatter feed as well. All right, so those are the major things, the advancements that we've made in reports as well as dashboards. Now I also wanted to switch over to the phone to show you that these same charts that you're seeing on the desktop will now be available on your Salesforce One mobile app as well. Okay, so I'm logged in here on my iPhone, and I have my Salesforce One mobile app open, and I'm going to click in to view a particular dashboard that I have. And this is actually the same dashboard that I was just showing you earlier on the desktop. So it's the same charts, the same pie charts, and it's also the Lightning version of those charts. So in Spring 17, this is now the default. If you use Salesforce One a lot, you might be used to the older classic-looking charts, but by default in Spring 17, all orgs will see these new Lightning-esque charts. They're much more interactive. So I could tap on a particular chart, and it'll highlight, and I can say, oh, well, I want to find out more details about, in this leaderboard, I want to see who Sam Gunderson is, and so clicking on the Sam Gunderson record will actually navigate me directly to his record. Or I can click back. I could tap to look at a different chart, and then find out what the different areas of the chart are. So I could click on this light blue area, and get some more details on that. Or I could click on the expansion icon in the upper right-hand corner and drill in and get some report data associated with that particular chart. But the last thing I really like about these new interactive charts is that there's setting this gear icon that'll let me change the chart visualization. So even though whoever created this dashboard made it a donut chart, I can actually change it to a funnel chart. Maybe that's an easier way for me to understand that data. And that's pretty much all I had to share.
Well, don't say that's all. I mean, you shared an awful
For Spring
lot.
17.
There we are. Well, I know our customers love our reports and dashboards, and they love how beautiful they've gotten with the Lightning experience. But Elna, what are they actually saying about what Liz just shared with us?
Oh, some great enhancements for subscriptions. People are really loving that. We're still getting lots of questions about duplicate management, so maybe we can get back to that later. But a couple of questions specifically about reports and dashboards. So Nana was asking about the subscription limit, or commenting on the subscription limit of 5. Is that going to be increased at some point in the future?
So we can certainly evaluate and increase it. We wanted, for Spring 17, the limit is 5 per user. At this point, depending, and it's regardless of what type of user it is, but we will evaluate increasing it as well. We welcome any feedback about what the new limits are, what your needs are for how many subscriptions you need.
Also, a question about how many reports can be sent out in a given hour.
Yeah, and so this is kind of the reference I was making in terms of reimagining a feature that we had in Classic and trying to make it better in Lightning. So if you're using Classic, you're so used to having only certain time slots, and you can only have a certain number of reports that you can have scheduled in certain time slots. You don't have to think about that in Lightning. Actually, you can keep your schedules in Classic, leave them as is, but then you have a new set of schedules and subscriptions you can have in Lightning. There's no signing up for time slots. There's no limit on how many reports that you can schedule for a particular time slot. If you have those 5 reports you can subscribe to, you can have them all at the same time on the same day if you wanted to.
Wow, that's awesome. So Jason asked a somewhat related question. If a user has the ability to subscribe to 5 reports, how many can an admin set up to automatically send to a group of users? I guess that would be the scheduling.
Exactly. Right. So there's a lot of functionality that you're used to in Classic that's not yet available in Lightning. This first version of subscriptions in Spring 17 allows any user up to 5 subscriptions, and we don't give admins any special privileges on top of that in Lightning as of yet. We do, in the future, plan on giving admins more abilities in the future to send to a set of users, and there would probably be a very different and higher limit for that as well.
One more?
One more.
Okay. So this is kind of a follow-up question to that same topic. So you were mentioning that the scheduling mechanism or the subscription mechanism is different in Classic versus Lightning, to separate sets. So you may have already answered this question, but just in case for Jason, what if a person is scheduled to receive more than 5 reports in Classic? Will those reports stay in Lightning?
So great question. So it's actually, you can think of it as like a totally different system. So you can keep your schedules, you can keep scheduling in Classic if you want, and then in addition to those schedules that you have in Classic, set up those additional 5 subscriptions in Lightning. So they don't interfere with each other at all.
Excellent.
Right.
Elna, thank you for running those questions. Before we move on, I did want to build on some things that we did mention. We've mentioned a lot of customers who are still on Classic are kind of hesitant to move towards Lightning.
Yeah.
We're showing a lot of great features. What would you recommend to customers who are still on Classic but are getting hungry for some of the things that we're showing?
So if you're using Classic and you're having trouble adopting Lightning, subscriptions is one of those areas where you'll say, hey, if you get your users started on this, they'll know this Lightning world, that they'll not have to learn. A lot of these questions, it's very clear that they're using Classic because they're like, oh, well, like, do I have any time slots I have to be cognizant of? Like, in the Lightning world, that concept doesn't exist. So I think, once you start using reports and dashboards and subscribe, any new users that you have, just get them starting the subscriptions in Lightning only, and the world will be so much simpler.
That's great advice. And for any customers who are in need of a little more help, we are going to be running through the Lightning Readiness check as part of our App Cloud presentation later this afternoon. So please tune in and watch for that. So again, thank you, Liz, so much. But I'd like to pass things to Andy so we can discuss Sales Cloud productivity.
Great. Thank you, Mike. Let's talk about productivity. And I love talking about sales productivity because this is an area where you're going to continue to see a lot of new innovations that really helps your end users get more things done and sell more. And boy, do we have a lot of new exciting productivity features in the spring release. And the number one feature I want to kick off with is the new Lightning console for sales. Now, if this reminds you of the Sales Console from Classic, you are correct. We are moving Sales Console to Lightning. But in case you don't know what Sales Console is, it is optimized for users who are in a fast-paced sales environment. Users who has to work with multiple customers at the same time, have to manage multiple records at the same time. So with Sales Console, which is a new Lightning app that you're gonna get in the spring release, you can switch between workspaces. So you can open tabs, sub-tabs, all within the same browser tab. So if you know any of your users who are doing a lot of right clicks to open a lot of browser tabs today, and they're struggling to figure out which one is which, this is a much more effective way to multitask and keep everything in context. And they can pin any important tabs that they have. But the best thing is that Sales Console is just another Lightning app. That means you can configure it just like any other Lightning app. You can configure the utility bar at the bottom. That's where you can dock the record history component or notes. Or if you have CTI integration, that's where you can dock the phone component. Oops. And speaking of phone, I also want to talk about Lightning Voice. So in case you haven't heard of Lightning Voice, it is a new product that we launched last year. And it's a new add-on product. It's an add-on license to Sales Cloud. It allows you to make and receive calls right from the Lightning experience, all within your browser. There's no physical phone involved. And in spring release, we have more enhancement. Not only it works with the new Lightning console I mentioned earlier, but you can now create a customized call list and just power through that list of phone numbers with a dialer, one after another. It will save you a lot of clicks. And all the call activities are automatically logged. And if you get an incoming call and you're not available, you now also have a personal voicemail experience in Lightning. And if you're a manager, you can report on all the call activities. So you can easily identify who your top performers are or which accounts that you are spending the most time speaking with. We also improved the email experience. Now for starters, you can now send emails on any activity-enabled objects, and we support all the standard objects as well as custom objects. And email is now a quick action. That means you can include email in the global actions menu, so you can send email from anywhere in the Lightning experience. And since it's just a quick action, that means you can also customize the layout of your email composer to streamline your business. In the spring release, you can also now send email using your organization-wide addresses. We also fill a lot of gaps in productivity. In spring release, you can now create recurring tasks, you can create follow-up tasks, and you can do all this on desktop as well as Salesforce One. And in spring release, you can also use global search to search for your tasks and events. So with that, I'm going to switch to my demo and show everything in action. Okay, so here I am on the Lightning experience. And as I mentioned earlier, starting in the spring release, you're going to get a new app in the app launcher called Sales Console. So let's switch to Sales Console. With Sales Console, that means you can open up multiple records at the same time, all within the same browser tab. So here I'm seeing a list of accounts. So let me open a couple of records here. So I open 2 accounts here. I have 2 tabs. And I'm looking at the Acme partners. This is an account. And I can continue to drill into here. So any related objects here, for example, I can open up the contacts here, and it's going to open a sub-tab under the master. I can keep drilling in. If I want to look at the campaign history associated with this account, I can do that. That's another sub-tab. And as you can see, it's very easy to switch contacts, to switch different workspaces. All I need to do is to flip back and forth the different tab. And again, this is all within the same browser window. You no longer have to open a bunch of windows and figure out which one is which. And you can also drag and drop and rearrange the tabs. If I work with Acme partners very often, I can even pin this so it's always up in the front for quick access. Oh, and the best thing is that we remember your browser, your tab orders and what tabs that you open. So the next time you log into Lightning Experience, all your tabs are going to be here in the right order. So you can just pick up where you left off. Also, in the Sales Console, you're going to see we also support now 3-column layout. So you see a lot more with less scrolling. On the left side, you have your account details. In the middle, here are your interaction with your customers. On the right side, here are your related informations and related list. So you see a lot more information here. And again, this is just another Lightning app. That means you can use the Lightning App Builder to do a lot of the customization. For example, the logo here, the color, the object that shows up in the Sales Console, as well as the utility bar at the bottom. These are all customizable with the Lightning App Builder. Now let's focus on the utility bar. Here, I have my phone component. I have a history component here. And notice that the history record component show you not just the master tab, but also the sub tab as well. And you can just easily copy the link to that record and send it to somebody. And you can have your notes component here as well. And as you can see, the great thing about Sales Console is that you can quickly switch to different workspaces very efficiently. So it's really optimized for the fast-paced sales environment. And one great use case is for inside sales. So let's say I am an inside sales user. So every day I have a list of prospects I need to call. Now typically what you would do is that I will open the record, dial the phone number, on the call, take some notes, log the call, and I'll come back to the list view and then call the next one. And I do this over and over again. But now with Spring Release, there's a more effective way with the new Lightning Voice. All I need to do is I can multi-select the records I want to call today, and I can create a call list. And here, I have a call list right in the Doc Composer. So that allows me to not always have to switch back to the list view. And from this point on, all I need to do is click on Call Next on the dialer. And what it's doing is that it automatically opens the record, automatically dial the phone number. So I'm on the call. I can take some notes. And after the call, you'll prompt me to log this call right here. Now, sometimes you may have different processes based on the outcome of the call. So in this case, let's say I left a voicemail. So I set the call disposition and log this call. And under the hood, I have a process that kicked off that automatically advanced the stage of this record. As you can see, now I'm on the working stage. And if I refresh the timeline, I also have a process that automatically create a follow-up task for me to call this person back later. So I'm done with this record, right? With just a few clicks, I'm ready for the next one. And instead of switching back to the list view, I click on Call Next. Again, it's gonna open the record, it's gonna dial, I'm on the call again, I take some notes. And you can also, instead of having the system prompt you to log the call every time, I can just say, hey, just automatically log every call for me. So when I end the call, I won't even get prompt. This call is automatically logged. The process is gonna kicked out, it's gonna advance the stage. And I'm done, on to the next one, right? You save so many clicks, and if you're in inside sales, any clicks matters, right? So that's about phone calls. So let's talk about emails. Now, in Spring Release, you can email from anywhere in the Lightning experience. So let's say I forget to email a prospect I talked to yesterday. I just go to the Global Actions menu. I can click Send an Email. So I no longer have to look for the record first and then send an email. I can just do it from anywhere. So I will just use the, let's say we need to contact Reggie. And based on the recipient here, I can also leverage the merge field or a predefined email template. So I already have one defined. Let me insert it here. And I can preview the email right from here and send it out. Simple as that, right? And as I mentioned, now since email is just a quick action, that also allows you to customize the layout of the component. For example, here I have another email action called Email HR. So here I already have preset value for the to, the from email addresses, and I just simply remove those fields from the composer. And that helps me to streamline the business process and just keep the experience simple. Last thing I want to show you is the new and improved task experience. So I can use task in the Lightning console as well. So let's say I have a task I need to check in, right? And let's say I'm done with this task, but I want to create a follow-up task. I can just click on create follow-up task and notice not only we create a new task for you, but we move all the values over. So you just need to make some simple changes and save it. And in the sprint release, we also now support recurring tasks. So you have this option if you want to create a recurring task. So just to sum up, in the sprint release, you have the new Sales Console that help you multitask more effectively. You have Lightning Voice that help you power through a list of phone numbers with less clicks. And you have a new improved task experience, and you can send email anyone from the Lightning experience. And that's just a little highlight for what's coming this spring release. But I'll pause here and see if we have any questions.
Yeah, I mean, our customers who depend on Salesforce for productivity must be thrilled with what you showed them.
I hope so.
Yeah, Elna, what are they saying?
They're keeping me very busy. So I can tell you, lots of questions and shout outs coming in. Paul, shout out to Paul, he loves the custom call list, and lots of people asking about the console, clearly a lot of interest there. And just to clarify for Jason and others, what editions of Salesforce include the Sales Console?
Do you guys know the answer to that? I think it's included in the professional and above, but we can double check.
If it's the same as it was last year, professional edition and above, if you have Sales Cloud, depending on when you purchased your licenses. So in general, if you have Sales Cloud and professional edition and above, and I believe the when you bought your licenses kind of depends on whether you have just the Sales Cloud or you have other features.
Yeah, let's follow up on that one.
Yeah, we'll give you that. We actually did some webinars last year on the Lightning editions, which was when the console was opened up to professional. So we just need to double check that it applies to Lightning as well, right? And so speaking of the console, again, Michael picked up that you mentioned it was in beta, or it says in the release notes that it's in beta. So what would be the immediate limitations or challenges that you would experience as compared to, let's say, the console in Classic? So if you've already got a console going in Classic, which is, as you mentioned, a different architecture, so what would be the criteria for maybe being an early adopter versus waiting a little longer?
Yep, good question. For starters, if you are not using Sales Console right now, definitely give it a try, right? And if you're currently using Sales Consoles, there are some limitations today, and we are adapting the same approach for the rest of the Lightning experience. We are going to move features over so we have feature parity. In the same time, we try to reimagine the experience. So today, there are some gaps in Sales Console. That's why I call it a beta. So for things like macros, things like keyboard shortcuts, these are things that's on our short-term roadmap and we're trying to fill. And especially if you have a more complex processes with your Sales Console, I would really encourage you to give it a try and really identify the blockers similar to the approach for the Lightning experience, right? Give it a try. Tell us what's preventing you from using it, and that's also going to help us prioritize the backlog.
Well, everybody does have a sandbox, so play with it in your sandbox and show it to some of your power users, right? Who give you a lot of feedback,
Yes,
and
exactly.
There's no harm in experimenting, right? So, how many more questions would you like? One more question. Okay. So, thinking of different use cases for console now that it's expanded in its usability, and especially in Lightning, could you make an admin console? Let's say Francisco was wondering.
Good question. So, if you watch the Service Cloud session yesterday, you're also gonna you will remember there's also a Service Console, and the cool thing is that all the console experiences are built on top of the same platform. And with the new Lightning app builder, you could create new apps, new console apps, and just assign it to admins, right? So like I said, it is just another Lightning app. That's why it's so great, it's so awesome. And you can create the console you want, target the users that you are targeting. So you can definitely do that. And if you want to learn more on how to do that, do we have a session on from the platform team to show us that?
This afternoon.
Great. Definitely tune in for that.
Excellent. Elma, thank you so much for running those questions. And Andy, thank you for sharing your expertise on productivity. But I would love to learn about Einstein, so I'm going to pass things over to Raj.
Great. So hey, everybody again, my name is Raj. I'm a product manager on Sales Cloud Einstein. And so many of you heard about Einstein for the first time at this past Dreamforce. And I'm excited to announce that we are officially GAing Einstein in Spring 17 release. Einstein is bringing artificial intelligence to the #1 CRM platform. And first off, I want to thank all our pilot and beta customers over this past year. Your feedback, your engagement really actually helped shape this great release. And Einstein is really helping your sales team be more productive, sell smarter, all the way from lead to cash. And within Einstein, you'll see things such as predictions, key insights, as well as automation. And Einstein has 4 key features. The first key feature is predictive lead scoring. Predictive lead scoring helps your sales teams focus on the best leads that are going to convert into opportunities. Einstein uses machine learning, and it analyzes historical lead conversion patterns and assigns scores to open leads that fit these patterns. These scores will show up in list views, they'll show up on the record pages, as well as if you're in marketing or if you're in sales op, you can actually use scores in reports. So you can use it to see your lead score health. You can actually use it to see how you can better improve your campaigns or marketing strategies. Another key feature of Einstein is automated activity capture. As the name implies, we will automatically capture all your emails and your meetings for your customers. Mike, I spent 5 years in sales, and I absolutely dreaded re-logging all my customer activities during the day. So with this feature here, you will automatically see any of your emails with your leads or your contacts within the Lightning experience. You'll see it within the activity timeline, which is available on the contacts, the account, opportunity, and lead records. In addition, another key feature of Einstein is opportunity insights. Sometimes you just need a little bit of help on your deal. Sometimes you just need Salesforce to help you get through the next phase of your deal. So opportunity insights is exactly doing that. It's giving you key deal predictions, it's giving you smart follow-ups, or even key moments in a deal, such as when a competitor is mentioned. Opportunity insights is available on the opportunity page, within list views, as well as on the home page. And last but not least is account insights. Account insights help you manage your relationships better with your account. What this does here is Einstein will actually proactively alert you when a key business development event happens, such as a merger acquisition on your account, or potentially your account might be expanding. These are all great conversation starters with your customers to drive your deals forward. So that said, let me switch to the demo. Okay, so the first feature I wanted to highlight is predictive lead scoring. So here you can see all my open leads in my leads list view, and we show you a predictive lead score right next to your lead. And if you click over or hover over your lead, you can see exactly why a lead received a high score. Einstein is not a black box. We're really trying to be transparent and tell you why you received a score. Here you can see that Jim is a good lead, and these are all positive factors based on your data, such as the city's Louisville, the industry's retail, or the lead sources coming from Jigsaw. Maybe if you look at a lower scoring lead, such as Sarah, you can see all the predictive factors of why she is a low scoring lead. For example, her industry's insurance, some of the fields are blank, like the rep didn't add in annual revenue. So these are all things that Einstein is intelligently able to predict based on your data. So let's go back to this lead of Jim Thomas, who is a good lead. And here you're on the lead record. And right here, you're going to see Einstein again on the lead record. We're trying to make Einstein sticky. We're trying to make it part of the entire sales experience. And it looks like, Jim's a pretty good lead. So I'm going to email Jim. And I like to email personally from my Gmail app or my Office 365. So I have Jim's email ready to go. I say, hey, let's connect sometime. And I'm going to send that to Jim. And if I go back into Lightning, and I just quickly refresh this here, you will actually see that email I just sent right here in my timeline. So what we're trying to do here is reduce the logging. I'm sending from my Gmail, and it's actually appearing within Salesforce. A really good way to save some time and be productive. And if I refresh the feed here, as I refresh the feed here, you will actually see that Jim has responded back. He says, yes, I'm happy to meet. How about 2 p.m.? And now if I go back into my inbox, you can see Jim's email right there. So no matter what my context is, whether I'm in my email app or Lightning, all my emails and meetings are captured. A really good way to save time and have a 360-degree view of your customer. So let's shift gears a little bit. I want to focus on all my open deals right now. And one of the key open deals I have right now is Sirius Corporation. And I've been stuck on this deal, and I don't know why I've been stuck on this deal. And Einstein's actually going to help me understand why. It looks like this opportunity is unlikely to close in time. And once again, Einstein is not a black box. It's actually telling you why. It looks like that based on a recent email that the legal team has raised some questions. Maybe a bit of a red flag, maybe something I should think about as I approach this customer. In addition, another key insight is that a competitor was mentioned in a recent email. And what we're doing here, for all the techies out here, what we're really doing here is we're really using sophisticated machine learning, and we're actually looking at email sentiment. Every time you communicate with your customer, there's so much great sentiment within your emails and your meeting that Einstein's able to actually understand and use that with the historical CRM data and really generate some key insights within Lightning. In addition to seeing insights on your opportunity record, you can actually see your insights directly in a list view. So if you're going to be working your leads on a daily basis, you can quickly hover over each one of these insights and kind of get a quick snapshot of what's going on. Another key feature of Einstein, as I mentioned before, is account insights. So let's say, I got some free time and want to kind of do some business development on some of my key accounts. Einstein is actually telling me on this account here that this company is expanding. Well, this is great. This might be a great opportunity to sell more product or my services within this account. You can see directly what are the key news articles that it's informing me about that. And one of my favorite new features about Einstein is the new Einstein component on the home page. What you're seeing here is actually Einstein come together really nicely. We're bringing all these great predictive insights and predictive scores directly onto my home page, in which if I start Salesforce every day, I can quickly look at all my key insights, I can see all the key reasons, and I can take quick action directly from Lightning. So we're pretty excited for the new Lightning experience and for the new Einstein experience on Lightning. And I'm going to pass it back to you, Mike.
Great. Well, I'd say we'd have every reason to be excited about the presence of Einstein inside the Lightning experience. I mean, the things that you just showed represent a huge change for our customers who used to have to expend a lot of effort to try to get that kind of intelligence.
Yep.
Now it's there.
Yeah, it is. It's part of our platform, which is really great. It's within our platform, and there's not much you actually have to do to get this started. We have a really simple. I know we have a lot of trailblazers on the video cast today. It's really easy to set up. You turn on each of the features, and it starts working for you.
Great. Well, speaking of our trailblazers, Elna, what are they saying?
Well, of course, the biggest question is Einstein included, or is it an add-on? Does it cost extra? So if you could address that, just so everybody knows what to do if they're interested in Einstein.
Yeah, that's a good question. So Einstein is it's an add-on. It's available at an additional cost. We'll be releasing more pricing details as we get closer to launch in mid-February.
Great. And how does Einstein score relate to the Pardot score? If people are using Pardot and they're scoring leads there, do they talk to each other, and how does that work?
Yeah, that's a good question. So Einstein uses data science to generate scores. So we look at historical lead conversion data, and then we base the scores on that. Pardot score is based on rule-based scoring, so you can determine which are the right kind of rules to produce a score. We are working together as a product organization to figure out what's the best way to migrate Einstein scoring within kind of the Pardot product. One of the key things actually on our roadmap is we want to enhance predictive lead scoring with all your Pardot engagement data. So anytime a customer comes to your website, they may open an email, all those key attributes will actually affect the predictive lead score.
And speaking of the intelligence of Einstein,
Yeah.
how does it know who your competitors are? That's from Paul.
Yeah, so it knows your competitors. So we obviously look at the emails. And based on those emails, we have kind of a database of all the different companies available out there. And we're able to do some cross-referencing to determine that.
And there's a shout out from Alex saying, must love Einstein, an AI feature that can automatically capture all emails and calls made to the customer. I have goosebumps. And speaking of capturing activities automatically, one person was wondering, I think it was Randy, how does that affect your storage capacity or your storage limits? Actually, it was Carol, sorry.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that question again?
Carol was wondering, if you're capturing all those emails, what does that do to your storage limits or ability to retain all those without maxing out there?
It actually doesn't impact your storage. We're actually just presenting those emails directly, emails and meetings directly within the Lightning experience.
Oh, so they still live in your email, but they're surfacing in Salesforce?
Correct, we're kind of referencing them within the experience.
I see, okay,
Yeah.
great. So what about the attachments that are there? Do they stay in your email?
They stay in their email, and it's a view within to those attachments.
So they don't actually get added as files in Salesforce?
That's something that we're considering in our roadmap, and I can actually follow up with that question with one of our product managers.
Yeah, because I think the key thing is if they're files, then they would count against the storage, right?
Yeah.
So, but if they're not doing that by default, then you don't have to be worrying all of a sudden about cleaning up your org if you turn this on, right?
And then let me follow up with one of the product managers that work on that, and he can help clarify that.
Okay, perfect. Oh, more things are coming in. Can you configure what it considers when it's scoring records? And that's from Tara. She's very excited, by the way.
Yeah. Well, so Tara, the way Einstein works is we actually look at all your standard and custom fields. So you don't really need to tell Einstein necessarily what's important to you. We'll be basing mathematical models on what is kind of successful lead conversion. A longer term for Einstein, we are thinking about configuration. A good example of configuration may be, I have a custom lead conversion process. I go from lead to custom object. So you can actually tell Einstein, that's your business process, and help me optimize my scores for that process.
And I think that's one of the reasons why something you said is so important. Einstein's not a black box. We're trying to be transparent with everything so that if you don't understand why there's a discrepancy between one score and another, Einstein will surface those considerations so that you can make up your own mind on the suitability of each score.
Correct.
I think it's a bit of a mind shift, because
it is.
admins are out there going, no, Einstein doesn't know better than I do, right? So it's a matter of, can you trust it to know the same exact thing that you would probably manually configure if you didn't have it, right?
Yeah. And one of the great things about Einstein is we're going to provide you some out-of-the-box reports. With Einstein, I actually didn't show it, but one of the key things for lead scoring is we actually provide you a report to show you that for your higher scoring leads, so any lead from 80 to 100, those leads will actually have a higher conversion rate than your lower scoring leads. So these are kind of key things that we're going to be enabling for our customers to build more trust with Einstein. And Einstein really is to help augment your sales cycle. It's really helping you to kind of discover new insights, discover new ways to be more productive, and really kind of help you guys move forward in your business process.
Yeah, I mean, if you're following a really a very prescriptive lead scoring methodology, let's say it's a particular, there's several methodologies out there.
Yeah.
And like BANT, I think, was one of them, and so if you could still use that in custom fields or whatever customizations you have set up to calculate those scores independently of Einstein. So you basically get Einstein on top of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, in our pilot for lead scoring, for example, we had a lot of customers that ran Einstein kind of side by side with the rule-based scoring, and quite often what we saw is Einstein lead scoring was actually better than the rule-based scoring. Because rule-based scoring, you have to invest a lot of time. You have to constantly update it. You have to constantly look at your data. You're going to constantly look at your leads. Einstein's doing all that for you. We're looking at your data. We're looking at patterns of success. We're looking at patterns of failure. And it's adjusting kind of on the fly for those things.
Yeah, it would be interesting to see for customers who already have lead scoring set up to compare, is Einstein or the older process doing a better job? It'd
Yeah.
be very easy to compare, right? Just
Yeah,
run
it's
some
very
reports,
easy.
see which ones convert more often.
Correct.
All right. Elna, thank you so much for that. I think we're going to put a pause on the Einstein-specific questions right now because I think we do still want to circle back to our master product roadmap for a little while and then open up to some of these questions on duplicate management, some of the features that we did want to circle back on.
Perfect.
So I'd actually like to pass things back to Arya so we can actually take a look at the product roadmap.
Sure. So just jumping back into the deck here, I want to talk to you about some of the core Salesforce features that are coming over for Salesforce automation. We talked about merging and duplicate management. On the roadmap, we plan to bring this to person accounts. We showed you account hierarchy. We're doing the same thing for contact hierarchy as well. We're going to enhance the lead conversion process. We've gotten a lot of feedback from customers around that. And some of the features around opportunity management that we need to bring over from Classic over to Lightning include opportunity stage history and opportunity splits.
And then for reports and dashboards, we do want to allow more editing capability in Lightning for dashboards, specifically filtered dashboards. And for subscriptions, you saw in Spring 17 that we have a base functionality where you can subscribe to a report and get that email for yourself. There's a lot more functionality that we want to add to it. And I think that was one of the questions that Elna brought up related to admins having a lot more subscription capabilities. So we're going to be adding more for the admins to be able to change the running user for the report, also have that subscribed report sent to multiple users, and we also want to enable subscriptions for dashboards as well.
Yeah, and for Einstein, we just want to continue some of the key features I talked about earlier. One is predictive lead scoring. Right now with lead scoring, we use your standard and custom fields to determine the scores. What we want to do is augment your score with some of your marketing data from Parity and some of the other marketing automation solutions to really give more data to the score. In addition, we want to provide org level insights. As I showed you guys earlier, for the lead specifically, you saw the insights to lead, but imagine you can see that at an org level. What are the top factors that are driving lead conversion? What are the top negative factors driving lead conversion? This could really help your sales operations and your marketing teams make really good decisions. And one of the more exciting features I think we're all really talking about amongst the product team is predictive forecasting. Imagine if you can take Einstein to your forecast, which Arya was showing earlier, and use that great data science to start helping you think about what are better ways you can start forecasting for your business. And lastly, we were looking at automatic contact creation. So utilizing your activity data, you can automatically create contacts within Salesforce as opposed for you to actually create it manually.
And last but not least, we are continuing to invest in sales productivity. For the next couple releases, we're continuing to build features for the Sales Console. Features I mentioned earlier, such as the macro, the shortcuts, split view. We're adding more advanced Lightning voice features, such as predefined voicemail drop. We will be building private related notes. That's a big ask. We'll be supporting classic email template in the Lightning experience and allowing you to schedule meetings with your Office 365 right from the Lightning experience as well. The features, top requested features such as calendar sharing, tasks, and event reminders are also on our roadmap.
Excellent. Now, I know I'm not the only one, but private related notes, very, very interesting. I would love to see that and how it's going to be realized in Salesforce. Yes. So I'll stay tuned for that. So Elna, now that we've covered the roadmap, I believe we do have a few minutes to circle back to some of the more hot questions that our customers have been asking. What do you see out there?
Yeah, I definitely have a few queued up here. So let's roll all the way back to the Kanban section. Okay. So Francisco and Carol were wondering, how do the quotes and Kanban work with approval processes? So how do they play nicely together?
That's a great question. I know in this release we are tracking validation rules. So if you have dependent required fields, we've put some of that business logic on top of Kanban. So if you try to make a change in Kanban, we'll notify the user. Approvals specifically, I would have to follow up with the Kanban product manager, and we can help answer that question.
Okay, and Kothai said, did I hear right that the record type limitation is removed from Kanban?
Yes. Yes, that is definitely something we've been working on for a long time.
Yeah, no, it's okay to fist pump a little bit. Yes, it is.
Yeah, it is. It's something we've heard from the very beginning, and we're very excited about it, and it's a big use case. But yeah, when you switch over to a record that has record types, We'll give you tabs across the top for all those different record types, and as you click into each tab, you'll be in your own Kanban view for that record type.
Yeah, that's a big one. I want to make sure nobody misses that one because I know that that's come up before quite a bit in the community and in previous broadcasts. And I believe there are some great screenshots of what that looks like in the decks that are posted in the Release Readiness community. So if you go download the ROD, the Release Overview deck, and the segments that I've posted today, you'll see what that looks like, or you can go play with it, of course, in your sandbox. Let's see. Let's go to reports. So Martha was asking kind of a best practice question. What's the advantage of using report filter overrides versus cloning a report and then changing the filter?
So it's really the use case. So if you want to have two separate reports that filter down to different areas of different types of records, it's fine to have those two different reports. And having those two different reports allows you to share them with a different set of users. Now, if you wanted the same set of users who have access to the same report, just have that report filtered down accordingly based on, let's say for the example I was showing, you might have like all your sales team in a specific region have access to the same report. It's all the deals for that region, but one salesperson focuses on one industry. But so they want to look at the same report and they have access to all those other records in that report. But it's just easier for them to have a link that focuses down to their particular industry that they focus on for their deals. Then you might give them the same access to the same report, but with a link that overrides for the filter that is most relevant for them.
Gotcha. Always good to have choices, right? So staying with reports for a moment, Susan was asking if an admin is able to find out whether users are subscribed to a specific report, because she thinks this would be good to know when they're cleaning up reports. You know, if people are subscribed, that means they care about it, right?
Yeah, and that's a great question as well, because in Classic, a lot of admins were able to monitor the scheduled jobs, and so there was a lot more control in Classic in terms of, well, admins themselves were doing most of the scheduling in Classic, and so you would also be able to monitor and know who was getting what reports. So in this new model in Lightning with subscriptions, in this first release, there is no admin control required, and there is no master list of so that you know which reports are subscribed to. When you log in, you see the reports that you subscribe to, but not everyone in the org. In future releases, we are considering actually exposing a list of all the subscriptions so that for an admin to not only look at, but also potentially monitor and manage. And that's being considered for future releases.
Great.
All right, Elna, thank you so much for running those questions, but I think that does just about put us at time.
Oh,
so,
man.
I know, but as we have said several times, no question will be left behind. So for everyone who has questions left out there, look for us to answer those in the coming days on the channel that you sent it in. So again, thank you to Elna, thank you to the product team, and that just about wraps all that we had for our Spring 17 presentations on Sales Cloud. Thanks everyone out there for joining us. Now we'll be back in just about an hour with our final session on the App Cloud. But before we go, I'd like to remind you that if you're looking for any of our content, you can find postings in both long and short form on the URL that's being shown on your screen right now. And we will also be posting our recordings to both Twitter and the Salesforce Success community, so look out there. One last thing before we take a break. We would love for you to give us some positive or honest feedback and complete a survey. You'll be able to find that at the URL listed below. If you can help us out by completing one of those surveys, we'll return the favor and enter your name into a drawing to win one of our Release Readiness Live hoodies. Sounds like a deal. Okay, so until this afternoon, this is Mike Torres for Salesforce, wishing you the best in success.